Okay, let's say we're given a graph and not an equation, and we're asked to find the domain, the range, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope for a linear function. So for linear functions, the domain and range are very easy. As long as they're not constrained, and as long as they're not going straight up and down or left to the right, the domain where it says what are the x values, it's going both directions for forever. So we write all real numbers. And we're going to do the same thing for the range because it's going down for forever and up for forever. Okay, the x-intercept and the y-intercept is where this line crosses the respective intercepts. So here's the x-axis. It crosses that intercept, that axis right here at -6. So -6 for the x, 0 for the y. And then for the y-intercept, that is 0 on the x, 2 on the y. The y-intercept is when x is 0. All right, and now finally the slope. So what's the rate of change? We can see this is positive. We're going right. Change of x is 3. And then the change of y is 1. We're going 1 up. And that's our slope. All right, let's do the same thing over here on this other guy. And for him, we don't quite see the x and the y-intercept, but that's okay. We're going to get that in a second. The domain and range are going to be just like the other line. This, since it's a line, it goes in its respective directions for forever. Okay, my slope, I'm gonna skip the x and y-intercept just for a second, and my slope is, I'm gonna go right 1, 2, and then down 10, 20. So this is -10. My slope is -10. All right, now let's find our x and y-intercept. So I'm gonna write myself a linear function using one of these points and my slope. Y is equal to -10 times x minus 3. That's my change in x. And it was up 60. Okay, so let's start with the y-intercept. When x is 0, 0 minus 3 is -3. -3 times -10 is 30. 30 plus 60 is 90. So when x is 0, y is 90. Now for my y-intercept, that's when x, I'm sorry, I put this in the wrong spot. This is 0, 90 for the y-intercept. My x-intercept is when y is 0. So I'm running out of room. 0 is equal to -10 times that by x. -10 times -3 is going to be plus 30. Okay, and then plus 60. 30 and 60 is 90. Okay, now I need to minus the 90 from both sides to get the x by itself. Okay, so this is -90 is equal to -10x. Divide both sides by -10. And -90 divided by -10. We can use our calculator if we need to. I think there was one more negatives in there. Positive 9. So my x-intercept when y is 0, 9. And we can see if we kept going, it actually would have crossed at 9. And if we kept going in this direction, it would have crossed at 90. All right, so let's talk about some key features of linear functions. So let's say you're given an equation, or you're given some points, or even given a graph. We're going to want to identify 4 main things. One is the domain or range. The second is your x and y intervals, x, y interval, y intervals, and then finally your slope. So looking at this guy, y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3, we're going to go ahead and graph him on the graph. And that's the first thing you should do when you're looking for key features is you want to see it visually. So my y-intercept is 3. We start off at 3. And then my slope is negative 1/2. You always go right the denominator, and you're going to go up or down the numerator, -1, so we go down 1. And I'm going to graph him. All right, so if I feel like I'm getting something I'm not supposed to, I can look over here and I can verify. So let's start with our x-intercept, or I'm sorry, our slope. Our slope is this guy right here. It's negative 1/2. My y-intercept is 3. X is 0, y is 3. There he is right there. My x-intercept, a little bit harder to find. If I plug 0 in for y, this becomes 0 is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 3. Subtract 3 from both sides. And now this is negative 3 is equal to negative 1/2 x. Multiply both sides by negative 1/2. Or negative 2. Kind of multiply by the denominator. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. So my x-intercept is 6. And I'm a little off here. I didn't use a straight edge. He should have went right through here, right through 6. Okay, so that's how we find the x and the y-intercept. But now our last thing that we need to find the domain and the range. And for lines that aren't constrained, this is very easy to find. So a domain for a function is going to always be all real numbers. It's going to the left and the right for forever. The domain means what are your x values. So I can, I'm going to write all real numbers. Okay, if it wasn't all real numbers, I would put some sort of x constraint here. My range is the same thing for a line, as long as it's not, as long as these aren't horizontal or vertical lines. So we're going up and down for forever. So I'm going to put all real numbers.